One of the biggest RPGs out there just arrived on iPad and pushes these devices to their max gaming potential. Originally developed by Larian Studios, the iPad version has been developed by Elverels with assistance from Larian and the Apple Metal engineering team. Elverels are the people behind great Mac ports from Baldur's Gate 3 and Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. Today we're going to have an in-depth look at how they've translated Divinity Original Sin 2 for iPad. This is a next-gen iPad game, so pause the video now for a list of supported iPads. Divinity Original Sin 2 has been in development for over 1.5 years on iPad. Why did it take so long to release? It was a challenge to get the game to run on iPads, as the operating system has only 3 GB of memory available to developers, and Divinity Original Sin 2 needed more. All the textures and models consumed 3 GB alone. Big levels didn't fit, and iPads would get really hot. For example, during early testing on the 2018 iPad Pro, in just 3 minutes, it would drop from 30 FPS down to 15. Elverels had to sit down with the Apple Metal engineering team to work out how to solve these issues. They did some GPU optimizations to get around thermal throttling, and it is much better now. But they didn't get rid of it completely. Elverels told me, "It is not possible for that kind of game. Too much stuff is going on." It still can get hot in some cases, such as intense battles or when many visual effects are on screen. Elverels managed to get Divinity to take up only 2.7 GB in peak here, which is bonkers. This means that older iPads with only 4 GB of memory can run the game too. Divinity Original Sin 2 is without a doubt the most advanced game to ever come to iPad, or the App Store in general. It's a good showcase of the quality of graphics that can run on modern Apple GPUs. You might be saying, dude, it's just an RPG, and an 8th gen console game at that. Both of those statements are correct, yes, but what we have here goes so much deeper. Divinity Original Sin 2 is still one of, if not the best RPG out there. It may not have the incredibly detailed, interactive cinematic dialogue conversations that you see in Baldur's Gate 3, but it still has unbelievably beautiful environments that you can explore across open-world locations, and the graphics of these locations go far beyond anything previously seen on iPad. The game also has a very in-depth story that lasts for around 60 hours or up to 140 hours for completionists, and there are over 1 million words here, 74,000 lines, and 1,200 different characters, with only 80 actors to do them all. Holy smokes! The iPad build of Divinity Original Sin 2 does not use Molten VK, it uses Metal 2.2. Steam and GOG saves import are not supported right now. Manual save transfer is supported. To see how to transfer your saves to and from iPad, check out the link in the video description, which Larian have put together. Multiplayer matchmaking and invites are supported. Keyboard and mouse are fully supported too, and work just like you'd see on the PC version. 2-player controller split screen is supported. Speaking of controllers, we have support for MFI, PS4 and Xbox One controllers, and next-gen controllers if you are running iPadOS 14.5. PlayStation 4 and 5 controllers support power indicator lights. Rumble support is also available for controllers. For example, in combat or some scenes when something is exploding or breaking loudly, you'll feel it in your controller. And obviously the game has great touchscreen controls, and it also works wonderfully with an Apple Pencil too. You can go through menus and dialogue conversations by just tapping on screen, explore with your characters by tapping anywhere on the map, hold your finger on screen to pan across the map, rotate the camera with just 2 fingers, cast different spells by just tapping their respective icons in the bottom menu, and when you're in combat and using an ability, you can hold down on the screen and a magnifying glass will pop up. That's just some examples of the touchscreen controls. On all iPad Pros with a 12.9-inch display, the native resolution is 2732 by 2048. For Divinity, the game targets 1920 by 1400 here. For all iPad Pros with an 11-inch display, the native resolution is 2388 by 1668, and Divinity will target 1920 by 1342. On the 2020 iPad Air with a 10.9-inch display, the native resolution is 2360 by 1640, and Divinity targets 1920 by 1335. Elvorels didn't increase the resolution to native on any of these devices. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to support up to 60 FPS on the 2021 iPad Pro and up to 30 FPS on other devices. But honestly, there is almost no visible difference between the lower resolution and native resolution, unless you look with a microscope. You're not going to see a locked 60 FPS or even 30 FPS on other devices, but it's pretty damn close. Just going around exploring the map, the frame rate is mostly stable, but drops quite a bit during combat or scenes that have a great deal of on-screen effects. The graphics quality options are fixed on iPad, but may vary from device to device. For example, on the 2021 iPad Pro with the Apple M1 chip, it is running at ultra quality and looks absolutely gorgeous on the thin display. What you get here is very similar performance to a Mac with an Apple M1 chip. On earlier devices, some quality options are a bit lower, but honestly, it doesn't look that much different. Divinity Original Sin 2 is also taking up the most storage of any game I've seen on the App Store, 17.39 GB. Elvorels used iOS texture compression algorithms, otherwise known as ASTC, to remove unused stuff on iPad. That said, not much was removed, as the game already fits into the 20 GB limit and still contains all the same content as found on other platforms. It's really incredible optimization, as these devices are still held back by the absence of swappable memory. I asked Elvorels about this, and they replied saying, "On Mac, you have a term called swappable memory, which resides on the hard drive whenever you have a low memory situation. This doesn't apply to an iPad, which doesn't have any such memory. This means that an application is limited by a fixed amount of memory. So on an iPad Pro with 8 GB of memory, a developer might expect that only 4 or 5 GB of memory will be available. A developer can run out of memory very quickly if they allocated too much, and if you allocate more than you need, the system will outright kill you. Limited system memory, and with the absence of swappable memory, is a strong reason why the game is an iPad Pro and 2020 iPad Air exclusive for the time being. You see, most other iPads and iPhones don't meet the game's 2 minimum requirements: 4 GB of memory and an A12 Bionic chip. Supporting these devices would mean the resolution and graphics quality would be considerably lower, and Elvorels and Larion don't want to make any major compromises to the game. They want you to play in all its glory, the way it's meant to be experienced. Plus, supporting iPhones would require a complete rework of the graphical user interface, and that is not in the pipeline for Elvorels and Larion right now, unless you guys make some noise. Are you going to buy Divinity Original Sin 2 on your iPad Pro or iPad Air? Do you actually have a supported iPad? Have you already played the game on another platform? Let me know in the comments. Divinity Original Sin 2 is not just a big deal for iPad gaming, but the App Store in general, and it needs all the appreciation it can get right now. Clayton, the CTO at Elvorels, says it best. A lot of people in the video gaming industry are looking at Divinity Original Sin 2 as the first example of a AAA game on iPad. Should it succeed, the future of gaming will be much more interesting. Should it fail and not gain enough revenue, iOS will still be considered as an outcast platform. People should vote with their money. Divinity Original Sin 2 is the exact moment in history when it really does matter. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, drop a like, as it was one of the most complex videos I've worked on. Thank you so much to Elvarels and Larion for helping and answering all my questions. Thank you so much. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications as I post reviews about Apple gaming related content all the time. My name is Stewie, and thanks for watching.